You caught me again. Starting something new without getting you first. Well, now that you're here, you better come around this side and I'll show you what I'm doing. About 10 years ago, I had a fleet of around 45 bicycles that I used to hire out around here. And I had this idea that I might build one of these up, see how it went, and if it went well, I'd operate a small fleet of them for blokes to do pub crawls and stag weekends and things like that. A little bit of fun where they can't seriously hurt themselves. But when my friends pointed out to me the public liability exposure that I was letting myself in for, I decided not to do it. So I only built this one. And I only ever put a couple of tanks full of gas through it and then just put it in the back of the shed. But now I'm having a big tidy up. I decided to pull it out. So I've been in here trying to diagnose an ignition problem, and it's turning out to be quite interesting, and I thought you should know about it because I've done all the usual things. I've put a handful of different spark plugs on it with the same result. I've wired in my spare coil and tried that to see if it's the ignition coil, and I've had the multimeter over the source coil, the magneto, and the ignition coil and the spark plug lead, both of them, this new one and the one that's actually on the bike, and they all check out okay. So what I think it's boiling down to is demagnetization of the magnet. It happens. This has sat around for years. I've done a lot of welding close by it. That may have affected the magnet long term. So what I'm going to do is take the magnet off the shaft and re-magnetize it by wrapping a coil around it and zapping it across a strong battery, and that will reboot the magnetism, and it might just help this ignition system to come back to life again, because on every spark plug I can detect a whisper of a spark, but it's hardly anything. So let's pull this magnet off and do some magic on the magnet, and then we'll put it back in and see if we can get this baby going after 10 years. And while I'm in here, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the magneto, because quite often these things are dipped in varnish to preserve them. And what happens is that varnish forms an insulation across the back, and they don't earth well against the case. Now I'm just trying different screwdrivers in here, because these screws are made out of Chinesium, which is incredibly soft, and if you use the wrong screwdriver you'll bugger up the head. Now if you do start to chovel the head, you'll feel it by just putting your finger across it, and if you can feel any burrs, like this one has been played with in the past and it's a bit burry on top. And in the absence of an impact driver, I'm going to use a small hammer to just ping over the burred over sections and repair the head of this screw to give the screwdriver a better bite. So it's a very soft metal, and that's all it takes to tighten up a semi-damaged screw head. Now I can put the screw in and get a much better purchase, and I can undo that safely. Let's see how the others go. It was 10 years ago when I last had this thing running, so I don't really remember how well it ran or any of its idiosyncrasies. It was an eye-watering price all those years ago, I seem to remember that the kit, the motor, the muffler, the electronics, the tank, the sprocket and chain was something like $5.99 New Zealand. But it was all that was available, so I bought it. Now since then they've dropped in price incredibly. I can now find these things available here in New Zealand for $220, I think. Of course, US dollars, it's going to end up at about $70 or $80, really cheap for a toy. Anyway, as I mentioned, these things get varnished to protect them, and it's obvious that the varnish is pretty much everywhere. You can see it on these surfaces, but we'll pull the thing off and have a look in behind it. Hang on. It's because it's being held to a magnet, it's a little bit difficult to get off, but I'll extract the thing. It fights till the very last. There we go. Ah, yeah, I can plainly see it's varnished all across the back, and where it's mounted to the block, it's fully painted. So we're not going to get a decent earth across the back. It's got mega varnish on it. So I'm going to get some rough sandpaper, and I'm going to sand these areas where it mates on. And then I'm going to remove the magnet. Actually, I'll do that first. Where's my brr brr gun? Oh. Right. Okay, so these things, when they're horizontal like that, that's top dead center. Being two-stroke, you don't have to get it on the right cycle. And this key, it's imperative that the key is at the 1 o'clock position when this is at top dead center. If the magnet has been fitted the other way around, and that's at the 11 o'clock position, then your engine will run perfectly backwards, but not forwards. If you give it a spin start in the opposite direction, the motor will run the opposite way because you're altering the timing. So what I'm going to do, as I say, is clean those surfaces, re-magnetize this, put it back together, and we'll see if I end up with a decent spark. So let's get some sandpaper, and we'll give that a clean up. Here's a bit of 120. Let's see what I can achieve with that. It's not going to take much. And another thing, it gives you a chance to check out the main seal, the seal in the back. Not only does it stop the fuel and the oil that's happening inside the engine escaping, it also provides what they call the primary compression. On a two-stroke, you've got your secondary compression, which is up here in the cylinder head, but you have your primary compression down in the crankcase. And if these seals are damaged or badly installed, you can have primary compression loss out into here, which will vastly reduce the overall power output of your engine. And how to check for it is a visual inspection, and run your fingers around and just make sure that the seal is pushed squarely into its recess, and have a look for any signs of leakage. If you can see fuel or oil around here, it's an indication that that seal is leaking, and it will make your engine very hard to start, and you will lose power at the top end. So, oh my god, there's a lot of varnish on here. Look at that. I'm pretty confident that after checking out the electrical resistance of these two coils and finding out that they're okay, that this will be the issue. These little bike kits are tons of fun. This was the absolute budgetest of the budget ones when I bought it. It was bottom of the line. It's 50cc, it's something like 2 horsepower, but they can be coaxed into doubling their horsepower. It's quite easy to get 5 or 6 horsepower out of these with a bit of work. There's tons of videos online that show you how to do it. I might even do a little series on bicycles. I might do some ridiculous things with bicycles just because I can. Right, now it's important to get the earth wire back on. That's got to go here, so I'm going to have a little clean of that area there where the earth wire connects as well. Okay, a little more. Right, now that can go back together. And you're busy people, so I'm going to do this as fast as I can. And as I do it, I'm going to give you as much information as I can. And we'll keep this video as short as possible. So what else can I tell you while I'm in here? Yeah, check your soldered joins. Make sure that everything's looking good. If you are going to ride your bike in wet weather, because a lot of mountain bikes don't have mud guards, you will spray water off your front wheel up into this area here, and that is not actually waterproofed. It's just a rubber grommet to protect the wires. Could be a good idea to put some silicone around here, because if water gets inside here, it will totally stuff up your ignition system. Your ignition system is a delightful mix between magnetism and electricity. It's absolute magic what goes on in here, how a spinning magnet can create an AC electrical field, an alternating current, that then gets moved down these wires as an AC current, goes into the CDI unit up here and gets rectified into a DC direct current and multiplied up to thousands of volts, which then goes to your spark plug and gives you a nice fat spark. And it has to happen at the right time, so that's why this keyway, with this tiny little Woodruff key, has to be in exactly the right position to make the spark happen at the right time. And also the clearances between this rotor and the magneto have to be correct. And what else has to happen? As I say, it's delightfully simple. That's really about it. So long as it's spinning in the right direction, it's timed in the correct position, and the clearances are correct, This will provide this alternating AC current that in the coil that gets passed along these wires, rectified to DC, boosted up to thousands of volts, and then passed to a spark plug to give you a nice fat healthy blue spark. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do the magic on this, but I'll do a little test first. What I want to do is find out how strong the magnet is now and compare it to later. So I'll try various sizes of spanner and see how much weight it can hold. Actually, it's pretty good. Okay, that is going to be our test. If I hold a 12-inch crescent at the end and I hold it here and I give a little shake, it drops off. I wouldn't call this chronic, but it's not good. So we're going to do the magic on this and we'll see if we can improve that. Right, here we go. Long piece of yellow wire, longest piece I could find. Get as many wraps on here as you can. Doesn't have to be yellow. Red wire would be better, of course, because we all know that red is faster. So I've got loads of turns on here. What I'm going to do now is just zap this with some power, and you do that by holding one wire on one terminal and just tickling the other wire on the other side. And you do that many times. Don't hold it on there because you'll melt the wire. Just, ooh, it's getting hot. It will get hot if you hold it for too long. So lots and lots of small tickles, and then we'll take the wire off. And we're going to do the magnetizing test again. Let's see. Look, I don't know. That may have improved a wee bit, or it may not. I can't decide. But I'm going to refit it. We'll see what we get. Remember what I said about getting this the right way round at 1 o'clock, not 11 o'clock. I'll put the tiny woodruff key back into the groove. And I hope it stays in there while I put this on, because this being magnetized, it just wants to make the woodruff key jump out. So I'm going to try and hold it in at the back with something while I get it started at the front. It's never easy. Let's see how we go. Actually, having something less magnetic, like my finger, may be better. Right, now once you've got the flywheel back on, you must make sure that it's flat here. That shows that it's all the way in. And we'll just check the timing. This is at the 1 p.m. position, not the 11. Right, now what we have to do is align the magneto around the magnet, and we do that by loosening the screws so that the magneto can move. Now it is going to fight against the magnetism. It's not an easy job getting this in place. So what you need is a business card or something of business card thickness, and we're going to put one piece in the bottom and one piece in the top, and you will have to push against the magnets to achieve this. Oh, it's making a liar out of me. Okay. But that will align the coil over the magnets. Happy with that? Give these a good tighten up so that they can't come loose. Reattach the coil with these are the coil wires here, black to black, blue to blue. Don't worry if you have a red wire, the red wire is the blue wire. It's just been made out of red wire. Make sure that these terminals are tight. There's no point in assembling it if they're loose, so make sure that they've got a good connection. And what we're going to do now is put a spark plug in here, get a decent quality NGK spark plug, not one of the nasty Chinese ones that come with these engines, because they are just awful. So now we're going to earth it out against a metal part of the motor and check for a spark. I don't know whether you'll be able to see this, but oh, that's fairly good. Yeah, look, it's better than it was before. It's not brilliant. I'll put the spark plug in. Now, never over tighten anything on one of these Chinese engines. The quality of the aluminium is pretty poor, and you're fairly likely to strip a thread. So I'll turn on the fuel, prime it up a little, and if I give the back wheel a spin, it should fire into life. That's a good sign. I'll get ready on the throttle. Oh, I'll take the choke off. Come on. Let's belt down the road, see if we can get this thing going. Right, here we go, pedalling up to speed, drop the clutch, and we're running. I have to change hands now so I can get some throttle. Running sweet as a nut. Well, as sweet as one of these things run in standard form. Right, if you enjoy a little bit of motorised bicycle mayhem, stay tuned, because in an upcoming video I'm going to be making a cargo bike out of wooden pallets.